Good evening, everyone. If I'd ask that everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may have a seat. Good evening and welcome to the Tuckahoe Police Department's annual award ceremony, where we honor the men and women of this department that went above and beyond to exhibit diligence, intuition, and skill during the performance of their routine duties this past year. There is no better time to acknowledge the efforts of our officers than that of Police Week, a time to reflect and appreciate the services police officers in Tuckahoe and across this nation offer, and the risks that each and every one of them take when putting on the uniform. I think it's fair to state there isn't a career or occupation that is more scrutinized, analyzed, and or dissected than that of law enforcement. Police officers, like the ones that stand before you this evening, are dedicated to protecting the citizens they serve, and more importantly, displaying the professionalism and integrity this uniform expects and deserves. It is with great appreciation and honor that Chief Costanzo, Lieutenant Rhoda, and myself stand before you this evening to highlight the fine work of our officers and share their accolades with friends, family, and the Tuckahoe community. This evening, the Tuckahoe Police Department will recognize and commend the performance of officers based on the following categories and criteria. These events have been reviewed and voted on by an awards committees of their peers and supervisors. The Exceptional Merit Award, the Meritorious Police Duty Award, Excellent Police Duty Certificate, the Certificate of Commendation, our Unit Citation, and the Officer Recognition Award. Before we get into the awards, I'd like to call Chief Costanzo forward for a few words.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Our elected officials, our honorees, family of all of our members, warms my heart to see so many of you here present supporting our officers not only tonight but every single day. Our friends, welcome. This evening, in commemoration of Police Week, we join communities across the nation in coming together to honor police officers. On Saturday, we held our annual Police Memorial, a poignant service to remember law enforcement members who gave the ultimate sacrifice and to honor the deceased members of the Tuckahoe Police Department who dedicated themselves in faithful service to the law enforcement profession and the people of the village of Tuckahoe. Every day in uniform, we are referred to as members of law enforcement, even though the enforcement of laws is just part of the police services that we provide. On a daily basis, our officers will respond to medical aided calls where our members provide first aid and comfort to those in need of care. At various times of the day, we will direct traffic and cross children, commuters, and seniors safely across the street, often spending times with our elderly who out of sheer loneliness just need someone to talk to. We will investigate motor vehicle accidents and sometimes tend to the broken bodies that are the result of the crash. We will separate not-so-loving partners as relationships dissolve. We will make sure that our banks are open safely and a shopkeeper closes in the comfort of knowing that an officer is maintaining a watchful eye. We will unlock cars of the anxious moms whose infant may be screaming inside the vehicle. We will check that car seats are installed and maintained properly. We will teach DARE in our classrooms, mentor explorers, or just stop and talk to young people to break down barriers and offer encouragement. And as you will see and hear tonight, our officers will respond to crises with the utmost professionalism, even when sometimes bearing witness to the worst acts of cruelness that confronts our society. Tonight, we gather in celebration to recognize those members of the Tuckahoe Police Department who, through their intelligence, dedication, and courage, have distinguished themselves amongst their peers and before our community. These officers pay the highest tribute to those who came before us, not through words, but through actions. They embody the dedication and commitment of each and every member of our department. It sometimes takes ceremonies like this to rekindle our gratitude for the men and women of law enforcement. We take a moment to appreciate the many talented and dedicated members of our department whose service is worthy of praise. I congratulate each and every award recipient for your deserving recognition. I'm very proud of the fine tradition of the policing that you exemplify, and I wish you ongoing success and pray for your continued safety. Thank you.
Mayor Eklund, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much, Lieutenant. I just want to recognize we have with us tonight here our former county legislator and extremely strong supporter of the Tuckahoe Police Department, Sheila Marcotte's here. So thank you very much for coming tonight. And we have another former county legislator, Vito Pinto. Tuckahoe's own Vito Pinto is here. Thank you very much for being here tonight. I'm joined with my colleagues on the Tuckahoe Village Board, Greg Luisi and Danny Lang. Thank you for being here. So, you know, every year when I stand here, I say the same thing, and I'm going to say it again, because it's just, to me, it's incredible. We will, over the next half hour, we're going to listen to stories that are just incredible. When you listen to the amazing bravery of the men and women of the Tuckahoe Police Department, who are, in the course of their duty, they're actually doing things that sometimes you see only on television. And you know, it's amazing to me when I think, you know what, we are not insulated from everything. We have a very safe community, but that's only in large part to the tremendous amount of energy that we have from these very, very fine men and women. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. As a resident, somebody who has a family here, I can't thank you enough for keeping us all safe, keeping my family safe, and everyone here is in this room and everyone in our community. We owe you all a debt of gratitude. So congratulations for everyone who's going to receive a citation tonight, and thanks again.
Thank you, Mayor. We're going to get started. I'd like to call up Sergeant Abelardo Batista. In the end of December 2016 and into January of 2017, the Tuckahoe Police Department received information from reliable sources that a bar restaurant within the village was being used for a significant amount of drug sales. Sergeant Abelardo Batista was assigned to the investigation and initiated an undercover narcotics operation to verify the drug complaints. On December 23rd, Sergeant Batista was present in the establishment, building a rapport with the bartender whom he believed was involved in the drug sales. Sergeant Batista was able to run into the bartender in the men's room, where he approached him and asked to buy cocaine. The bartender was hesitant at first, demanding to know if Sergeant Batista was a cop. Sergeant Batista maintained his composure and assured the bartender he was not. After some back and forth discussion over the cost and quantity, the bartender eventually brought Sergeant Batista outside to the rear of the establishment and told him cocaine, which would later amount to felony charges. For his acts of outstanding police duty, intelligently performed, demonstrating special faithfulness and performance of duty, Sergeant Abelardo Batista is awarded the department's Meritorious Police Duty Award. Congratulations. I'd like to call forward Officer Stephen Leone, Officer Francisco Ramirez, and Officer Anthony Solano. On February 22nd at approximately 8:40 p.m., the Tuckahoe Police Department received a call from a female who stated her son was threatening to kill himself inside her home, and he did possess a weapon. The caller said the second The caller said their second floor apartment was locked and she was scared to leave her room to open the door to meet the police. Police officers Stephen Leone, Anthony Solano, and Francisco Ramirez were detailed to respond. Upon officers' arrival, the desk officer coordinated with the female caller to drop her keys of the apartment outside the window down to the awaiting officers who would retrieve them. Officers made entry and ascended up the second floor home apartment. As the door opened, officers were immediately met by the distraught teenager standing a few feet from the doorway holding a loaded 12-gauge shotgun. Officers gave commands to drop the gun as well as quickly build a rapport with the known troubled teen to prevent the situation from escalating. The male agreed to drop the shotgun moments later and was safely taken into police custody. A subsequent search of the male's room produced 3 additional weapons. For their acts of outstanding work intelligently performed involving personal risk of life while in the performance of duty, Officers Francisco Ramirez, Stephen Leone, and Anthony Solano are awarded the Department's Exceptional Merit Award. Congratulations. I'd like to call up Officer Francisco Ramirez and Officer Stephen McCann. On March 3rd at 9:15 p.m., Officer Francisco Ramirez was on routine patrol when he spotted a driver operating his vehicle while on the cell phone. A traffic stop was conducted on Marbledale Road. Upon approaching the vehicle, P.O. Ramirez smelled a strong odor of marijuana emanating from the vehicle. P.O. Ramirez requested the proper identification of the driver, and he was unable to do so. P.O. Ramirez requested a backup unit, and P.O. McCann was detailed to assist. Both officers continued to interview the driver and passenger of the vehicle. As the investigation continued, there were inconsistencies within both the occupants' stories. The 2 males were asked to exit the vehicle. Upon doing so, officers found glassine bags typically used for marijuana. In addition, a marijuana cigarette was located. Both McCann and Ramirez detained the individuals and continued to search the vehicle, which had a significant amount of miscellaneous personal items spread throughout. Both investigating officers came across 10 different credit cards and bank cards illegally obtained by the suspects. In addition, stolen iPhones, sneakers, and clothing were all recovered. Upon processing the suspects inside headquarters, it was determined both males gave fake names in order to avert the investigation. For their outstanding police duty, intelligently performed, demonstrating special faithfulness and performance of duty, Officer Francisco Ramirez and Officer Stephen McCann are awarded the Department's Meritorious Police Duty Award. Congratulations. I'd like to call up Officer Michael Gutman and Sergeant Abelardo Batista. On March 10th at 1:35 a.m. in the morning, Officer Gutman observed a vehicle traveling on Midland Avenue without a New York State inspection sticker on the windshield. Upon attempting to conduct a traffic stop and activating the police emergency lights, the vehicle began to flee. Officer Gutman immediately communicated over the police radio that he was attempting to stop a vehicle who was failing to comply and would be traveling south towards Bronxville. Sergeant Batista received the radio transmission and began to assist. Officer Gutman followed the vehicle a safe distance as it continued to flee, traveling through Bronxville and then into the city of Mount Vernon. The fleeing suspect would eventually turn down a dead end. A foot chase would ensue. Officer Gutman, Sergeant Batista, and a Village of Bronxville police officer were able to tackle the man to the ground. Pursuant to arrest, the suspect was found to be in possession of 3 bundles of heroin. For their act of exceptional police work, performed intelligently and in the line of duty, Officers Michael Gutman and Sergeant Abelardo Batista are awarded the Department's Meritorious Police Award. Congratulations. We'd also like to acknowledge Sergeant Nicholas DeYoung from the Village of Bronxville Police Department who assisted on that case. Could I ask Sergeant James Kennedy and Officer Ashley Tecito to step forward? On March 28th at approximately 8:30 a.m., police officers James Kennedy and Ashley Tecito were assisting with a motor vehicle accident on Columbus Avenue when an uninvolved, frantic motorist stopped both officers and stated the car directly behind them had been following him and pointed a gun at him in response to a road rage incident. Kennedy and Tecito tactfully engaged the vehicle with their duty weapons drawn, removing the driver and placing him in handcuffs. Under the driver's seat, Sergeant Kennedy recovered a BB gun, which directly resembled a standard semi-automatic handgun. Their investigation led to the determination that the criminal menacing charge was warranted and the suspect would be turned over to the Westchester County Police for jurisdictional purposes. For their acts of performance of routine police duties in an outstanding and efficient manner, Sergeant James Kennedy and Officer Ashley Tecito are awarded the department's Excellent Police Duty Award. Congratulations. I'd like to call up Sergeant Christopher Aubrey, Officer Ashley Tecito, Officer Anthony Solano, Officer Stephen McCann, Officer Francisco Ramirez. On April 27th at 4:30 p.m., the Tuckahoe Police Department received a 911 call from a distraught female stating someone was breaking into her home. The caller went on to say the male was now inside her home and appeared to be naked and starting to become aggressive as the 911 call was dropped. Sergeant Christopher Aubrey, P.O. Anthony Solano, Officer Ashley Tecito, Officer Francisco Ramirez, and Officer Stephen McCann were all dispatched to assist, as well as Bronxville units who would be assisting as well. All arriving units immediately surrounded the residence and formed a perimeter. Officers could hear screaming from inside and began to locate an entry point. A rear basement door was unlocked and officers began to strategically enter. Upon entering the home, the officers were confronted by the homeowner, who stated the suspect had barricaded himself inside a basement bedroom. Officers gave commands for the suspect to slowly exit the bedroom with his hands in the air. After multiple orders from the police to exit, the suspect refused and maintained inside the locked bedroom. A tactical ballistic shield was introduced and the door was breached open by the police. A struggle ensued and the suspect was immediately tased and brought under control. It was soon determined the suspect, as a result of heavy drug use, was in a state of excited delirium, a condition that manifests as a combination of delirium, anxiety, hallucinations, violence, insensitivity to pain, and at times superhuman strength. For their acts of exceptional police work, intelligently performed while in the line of duty, Sergeant Aubrey, Officers Ramirez, McCann, Tecito, and Solano are awarded the department's Exceptional Merit Award. Congratulations. I'd like to call up Sergeant James Kennedy and Officer Ashley Tecito. On May 19th at 9:30 hours in the morning, the Tuckahoe Police Department was advised there was a medical emergency at a home on Lake Avenue. A report of an unconscious 46-year-old female. Sergeant Kennedy and Officer Ashley Tecito were dispatched and arrived first on scene. Both officers found the female to be blue in the face and non-responsive while crouched down in a closet. Officers began to ascertain information from family on scene as to the aided's current health concerns and/or possible drug use. Both Sergeant Kennedy and Officer Tecito observed indications of an opioid overdose. Officer DeCito quickly administered a dose of Narcan, which had an instant response. The aide began to show signs of life and became responsive to first responders. For their skillful and exceptionally quick actions and what ultimately saved someone's life, Sergeant Kennedy and Officer Ashley DeCito are awarded the Department's Excellent Police Duty Award. Congratulations. I'd like to call forward Officer Stephen Leone and Officer Evan Piasta. On July 11th at 4:15 p.m., Officer Stephen Leone and Officer Evan Piasta were dispatched to the courtyard of Sanford Gardens on a complaint of a male smoking marijuana. Both officers approached the lone male standing by the park bench. There was nothing in his hand yet, as the officers could smell odor of marijuana as he began to closely speak to the gentleman. Officers conducted a field interview and could sense the male was quickly getting uncomfortable and uneasy. The male did volunteer to empty his pockets to prove he had nothing in possession. He was not in possession of marijuana or anything else illegal. Officer Leone and Officer Piazza noticed what appeared to be part of a plastic bag tucked in the male's waistband. As officers attempted to identify what the bag was, the male lunged forward in an attempt to flee. A brief struggle ensued, and P.O. Leone and P.O. Piasta were able to detain the suspect and bring him to the ground. The bag had now fallen to the ground, and officers found inside 30 individually packaged bags of cocaine. The male was subsequently charged with criminal possession of a controlled substance, third degree, with intent to sell, a Class B felony. For their acts of exceptional police work performed intelligently and in the line of police duty, Officers Stephen Leone and Evan Piasta are awarded the Department's Meritorious Police Duty Award. Congratulations. Would Detective Emily Yankowski and Sergeant James Kennedy please step forward? On July 31st at 2 p.m., Sergeant James Kennedy and Detective Emily Yankowski were detailed to an establishment on Lake Avenue to investigate a disturbance involving a customer inside the store. Upon arrival, officers were informed that a man purposely took a cell phone that did not belong to him and attempted to leave. The cell phone was apparently left unattended for a brief period of time, and the male suspect placed it in his pocket just before exiting. The male was confronted by a patron, which led to the dispute. Upon arriving on scene, Sergeant Kennedy and Detective Yankowski immediately knew the identity of the male in question due to previous police interactions of similar circumstances over the past week. Both Sergeant Kennedy and Detective Yankowski knew the male had no legitimate purpose in Tuckahoe. He would continue to show up, attempting to target vulnerable people with scams and commit crimes of opportunity, such as petty larcenies. Both officers investigated this matter as the male continued to become agitated and disorderly. The male was arrested for his actions and, in addition, charged with possession of stolen property. This investigation led to subsequent charges involving bank fraud. For the acts of performance of routine police duties in a persistent and efficient manner, Sergeant James Kennedy and Detective Emily Yankowski received the Excellent Police Duty Award. Congratulations. I'd like to call up Officer Daniel Coughlin and Officer Christopher Harris, who is unable to attend this evening. On September 13th at 1:15 a.m., the Tuckahoe Police Department received a call for a suspicious male looking into parked vehicles in the area of Governor's Road. Officers Chris Harris and Daniel Coughlin canvassed the area in search of the male. After a thorough check of the neighborhood, Officer Coughlin observed a car door to be ajar in a driveway on Leonard Road, a couple of blocks away from the original complaint. Coughlin and Harris approached the vehicle and found the male exiting the property. Officers Harris and Coughlin found his pockets to be full of miscellaneous items. Further, the suspect had numerous bags partially hidden alongside the driveway, full of stolen goods, which included clothes, shoes, phone accessories, easy passes, and money. The suspect was arrested, and Tuckahoe police were able to later return many of these stolen items back to the original homeowners here in Tuckahoe and neighboring Bronxville. For their acts and performance of routine police duties in an outstanding and efficient manner, Officers Harris and Coughlin are awarded the Department's Excellent Police Duty Award. Congratulations. I'd like to call up Sergeant Abelardo Batista, Detective Andrea Pinto, Sergeant James Kennedy, Officer Francisco Ramirez. On October 2nd, the Tuckahoe Police Department received a call from a village merchant stating his business was burglarized overnight and believes it was the work of an ex-employee based on security surveillance cameras. Sergeant Abelardo Batista and Sergeant James Kennedy were assigned to the investigation. The store manager explained prior to opening he went to the basement where employee lockers are located and found the room to be in disarray. He checked the cameras to see what had occurred and found footage of a male breaking into a locker which held the store's cash bag containing $4,500. Sergeant Batista and Kennedy were observed a blue latex glove on the floor alongside the locker that had been broken into. The scene was photographed and the glove was removed as potential evidence. Officers walked around the rear of the establishment where the suspect broke a window to make entry. Both officers noticed another blue latex glove believed to be the missing match from inside. In addition, bloody scissors were found sitting just to the left of the same window used to make entry. Detective Andrea Pinto assisted Sergeant Batista and Sergeant Kennedy as they collected all potential evidence at the crime scene that would tie in the suspect. The video surveillance footage allowed the store manager to confirm the identity of the suspect. Detectives then began the process of trying to locate the suspect's whereabouts. Through technology and good old-fashioned detective work, the suspect's address was obtained. An arrest warrant was signed and executed within 24 hours. The suspect was arrested by Tuckahoe police officers Ramirez, Batista, and Pinto at his residence in Yonkers, and the evidence collected had matching DNA placing the suspect at the scene of the crime. For their acts and performance of routine police duties in an outstanding and efficient manner, Sergeant Abelardo Batista, Sergeant James Kennedy, Officer Francisco Ramirez, and Detective Andrea Pinto awarded the Department's Excellent Police Award. Congratulations. I'd like to call up Officer Francisco Ramirez, Officer Ashley DeCito, and Officer Michael Gutman. On November 19th at 11:10 p.m., the Tuckahoe Police Department received a 911 call from a victim who stated he had just been assaulted on Main Street by a male demanding money. Further, the suspect injured 2 dogs during the robbery attempt. He then fled on foot up Main Street. Police officers Francisco Ramirez and Ashley DeCito were detailed to investigate. While officers were on scene investigating this incident, the Tuckahoe police received an additional 911 call and a report of 4 males and a female assaulting someone in Depot Square. Officers DeCito and Officers Gutman were redirected to Depot Square. Upon arrival in Depot Square, Officer DeCito observed the male victim known to her as a resident in Tuckahoe. The male stated he was jumped by a group of people for no reason, and they fled to the Tuckahoe train station. Officers Gutman and Ramirez ascertained a partial clothing description on the suspects involved on the Main Street assault and communicated it to the other Tuckahoe units. While Officer Tecito was tending to the investigation in Depot Square, she determined the description given by P.O. Ramirez would be a match to her assault victim. He had apparently tried to rob another person but was thwarted by the group, stopping the robbery attempt. Officer Tecito and Officer Ramirez coordinated a show-up of the Main Street victim down to the Depot Square victim and determined that the Depot Square victim was indeed the suspect from the Main Street assault. For their acts of exceptional police work performed intelligent and in the line of duty, Officers Francisco Ramirez, Ashley Tecito, and Michael Gutman are awarded the department's Meritorious Police Duty Award. Congratulations. That one was a little confusing. I'd like to call up Sergeant Vincent Pinto, Officer Evan Piasta, and Officer Stephen McCann. On December 28th at approximately 10 p.m., the Tuckahoe Police Department received a 911 call from a bar reporting a disgruntled patron causing a disturbance and brandishing a knife. Sergeant Vincent Pinto, Officers Evan Piasta, and Stephen McCann were dispatched. Officers arrived on scene and a patron exited the establishment, giving a further description of the male and stating he was highly intoxicated and threatening other patrons with a knife. Officers entered the street side door to the establishment, which led to a short hallway and an additional door into that location. At this time, the door opened and the suspect stood in front of the officers with a knife in his left hand. Sergeant Pinto, Officer McCann, and Officer Piazza immediately drew their firearms and backed up as much as possible in the corridor in an attempt to gain a safe distance. Officers gave clear commands to the male to drop the weapon and not to take any steps forward. The building entryway where the officer stood and the suspect's current location created a very dangerous and close quarters environment. Officers continued to demand the knife be dropped, but the male was not complying. Sergeant Pinto and Officer McCann maintained lethal cover while P.O. Piazza transitioned to his taser. P.O. Piazza attempted to tase the suspect, but the first projectile failed to maintain contact due to the man's winter garments. A second attempt was made, and fortunately this time the male fell to the ground and lost possession of the knife. Sergeant Pinto and P.O. McCann quickly detained the suspect and safeguarded the knife for evidence. For their outstanding work, intelligently performed involving personal risk of life while in the performance of duty, Sergeant Vincent Pinto, Officer Evan Piasta, and Officer Stephen McCann are awarded the department's Exceptional Merit Award. Congratulations. I'd like to ask Lieutenant Lawrence Rhoda to please step forward and present our unit citation.
Good evening. This year, our unit citation award is going to be awarded to the Domestic Violence Unit. Detective Pinto. Detective Andrea Pinto was assigned as a domestic violence coordinator for the department in 1998. Over the past 20 years, she has passionately advocated on behalf of domestic violence victims. Her duties have included developing policies and safeguard victims and decrease violence in the home. She is the liaison to the Special Prosecution Division of the District Attorney's Office, the Child Advocacy Center, and Child Protective Services. Her specialized training and vast experience has developed investigations and prosecutions against those who have abused and committed heinous acts, violence against helpless victims. She has trained and mentored every member of this department of all ranks on domestic violence. The gathering of department statistical data on all domestic violence incidents for analysis and the county, state, and federal levels is just one of her many tasks. Detective Pinto provides victims with their legal rights and protections and walks them through the criminal justice system, gives them emotional support, and helps victims in receiving financial assistance and compensation, and often provides transportation to interviews and court appearances, and keeps a continued communication throughout the proceedings and beyond. Her kindness and compassion for the victims and their families goes well beyond her official responsibilities. Over the years, she has found housing, sometimes working with other agencies such as Section 8 to relocate the victims, often finding furniture throughout outreach programs and at little or no cost. She has entertained calls from victims at all times of the day and night, including weekends and holidays. Follow-up interviews have taken place at hospitals, temporary shelters, and any place that has made the victim feel safe and comfortable. The atmosphere that Detective Pinto creates for the victims of domestic abuse is friendly, caring, and welcoming. She provides assistance to those in our society who are at their most vulnerable. There are dozens upon dozens of domestic violence survivors whose safety, health, and well-being are direct results of Detective Pinto's tenacity, expert investigation skills, and compassion. Their gratitude for her kindness has been expressed over and over again. For her hard work and dedication, Detective Andrea Pinto is hereby recognized and commended for her extraordinary service as Domestic Violence Coordinator of the Village of Tuckahoe Police Department. Congratulations, Detective.
I would now like to call up Officer Evan Piasta, who will be this year's recipient of the Officer Recognition Award. The Tuckahoe Police Department's Officer Recognition Award for Outstanding Officer of the Year is given annually to recognize patrol officers for their outstanding work within their positions. The nominees had to be dedicated to their job, the department, and the Village of Tuckahoe. This officer must have demonstrated consistent professionalism, performance at an exceptional level, possess solid character, along with work ethic in sync with the definition of the department's mission statement to protect equality of life in partnership with those we serve. The recipient of the Officer Recognition Award is Officer Evan Piasta. Officer Piasta has consistently demonstrated a strong level of professionalism and has an equally matched desire to help people around him. Officer Piasta is organized and always prepared to take on the day's responsibilities. Evan is a proactive police officer, constantly seeking out ways to stay busy on the street and keep his tactics sharp. Officer Piasta has made it a priority throughout his career to enhance his training and seek opportunities to evolve as a police officer. He has been assigned to various units within the department due to his ambition, determination, and skill set. Evan is a member of the Emergency Response Unit as well as the Bicycle Patrol Unit. He is a certified New York State Youth Officer and a New York State Certified Dare Instructor, where he currently serves as the Tuckahoe's elementary and middle school Dare Instructor. Evan is an advisor to the Tuckahoe Police Explorer Post, where he mentors local teenagers who seek community involvement and potential law enforcement careers. In addition to his many roles within the department, Officer Piasta donates a significant amount of his time acting as the Vice President of the Tuckahoe PBA. Evan, along with his other executive union members, spend countless hours coordinating charity work in the community, as well as maintaining day-to-day tasks within the organization that often go unnoticed. Year after year, Evan exceeds expectations with his fundraising efforts to our annual PBA dinner, dance, and journal. Officer Piasta takes immense pride in his work, and he is deeply vested in the department's all-around goals. He is respected by his peers and is a positive reflection of the Village of Tuckahoe Police Department. Once again, congratulations, Officer Evan Piasta. This concludes this evening's award ceremony. As you can see, we had a busy 2017. I would like to thank our elected officials, friends, and family of the Tuckahoe Police Department for joining us this evening. I personally wish to express my appreciation for the outstanding and professional service our officers have displayed, not only on the events mentioned this evening, but on a daily basis. We are all very proud of you, and again, thank you for all coming. Please join us for some refreshments in the hallway. That concludes this evening's events. Thank you.